Here's Rodney Marsh. Good goal!
Rodney's rant on goal time. Priceless.
Welcome along then to another edition of Goal Time. Rodney's Rants with you again today. We're going to look ahead to another big weekend in the Premier League. Chelsea, of course, have wrapped up the title last weekend, but there's still plenty to play for at both the bottom and the top in terms of the top four. 7 teams still in the mix for relegation, while the top 4 is yet to be fully sorted out. We're going to come to the top 4 later, but first of all, looking at the survival scrap, Sunderland had a big win last time out against Southampton. They host Everton on Saturday. Not too much to play for the Toffees. So can you see another big victory for Sunderland in this one, Rodney?
It's that time of the year when the teams at the bottom, they seem to pull out a little bit extra, and you know, this year will probably be no exception. Sunderland are coming off a fantastic 3 points last week. Let me just think this through, because Dick Advocate, new manager, got a result. Will he change the team? They've got the Adam Johnson distraction, of course. No, I don't think Sunderland are going to win this.
I was going to ask you about Everton, because you know, Everton, since they've gone out of the Europa League, seem to have picked up in the Premier League, but they were beaten by Aston Villa last week. So, you know, Everton are going to be keen to bounce back as well, of course, against Sunderland, and they're going to know that Sunderland are fighting for their lives at the bottom, and they might just come up against you know, a side that are desperate for points. But you don't think that Sunderland will get the win in this one then? I
don't know. I think you know, Everton have had a good run of form over the last 6 games. Of course, they had that magnificent win against Manchester United, and if they can keep that form going, I don't see Sunderland winning there. I'd actually the best result I think for Sunderland, the best they can hope for, is probably a draw, so I'd have to go kind of 1-1.
They do have games in hand, Sunderland, against a lot of the other teams around them, so actually a draw might not be a bad result for Sunderland. Is that what you think?
I think the logic would be is going into the last couple of games of the season, for those teams at the bottom, you know, of course, Burnley are desperate, QPR are desperate, but we're seeing with Leicester, you can get out of it. You know, you put a couple of results together and you can get out of it. But at the moment, at the bottom, I think it's a question of not being beaten anymore. That's the number one thing. Don't get beat, no matter what. So that's where I'm going. I'm going with Sunderland, not to get beat, but also not to win. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
A 1-1 draw. So there's plenty of opportunity for people to bet with goal time on the draw, of course, and goals to be scored by both sides. Switching attention to Crystal Palace versus Manchester United on Saturday. A few weeks ago, many probably would have said this would have been an away banker because of the way that Louis van Gaal's team had improved, you know, since Christmas. But Manchester United, all of a sudden, have not scored in their last 3 matches and have lost their last 3 matches. Do you think it is just still a blip, really, or you know, maybe is it something a little bit more serious for Manchester United at the moment?
Well, Manchester United have collapsed in the last 3 games. Not only have they not won, they've also not scored, and you know, that's worrying for Louis van Gaal. I really expect them to show some character and turn it around, though, you know, going into the last couple of games of the season. So I'm expecting Manchester United to go to Crystal Palace and win. Having said that, Manchester United can give up goals. We've seen that recently. We saw it at Everton. So I think that Palace will score, but I think that United will win. So I'm going to have to go Crystal Palace 1, Manchester United 2.
So plenty of goals again for our goal time punters to get their teeth into and back across the game. So just going back to Manchester United, do you think it's still their defence that's their biggest problem? I mean, it's obvious they've got a lot of attacking threat with Rooney and Falcao when he decides to play, and Angel Di Maria, but it's still their defence that worries you.
Well, no, it's the whole team that worries me, because if you play 3 consecutive games and you don't score a single goal, you know, and you're supposed to be a top team, that is worrying. And at the back they're conceding goals, and in the midfield, without Carrick, I mean, Carrick is a massive player for Manchester United. Without Carrick, they do look very ordinary in midfield as well. So I think all over the pitch, the only player for me throughout the year that's been exceptional has been De Gea in goal, and they might lose him as well.
Yeah, there is talk, isn't there, of Real Madrid. Phil Neville's actually come out today and said that he's worried that David De Gea might go to Real Madrid. I mean, they've got Liverpool trying to chase them down again for fourth after they lost themselves, Manchester United, to West Brom, and then Liverpool beat Queen's Park Rangers last week. Do you think Liverpool can catch United and nick that last position for the Champions League?
I think whether Liverpool can catch Manchester United is the $64,000 question that everybody is having a gamble on at the moment. That's the big unanswered question between now and the end. And everybody beats Queen's Park Rangers, so that wasn't a particularly big win for Liverpool, I don't think. Can they catch United? How many points behind are they? Do you know?
Yeah, Liverpool are 4 points behind going into the games this weekend.
4 points behind, my goodness.
With 3 games still to play for both.
Oh, amazing. I don't think Liverpool are going to catch Manchester United, no. I know that the smart money at the moment is on Manchester United to hold that off. So I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to stick with Manchester United finishing in the top 4, and Liverpool are going to miss out this year.
Can I just ask you about Crystal Palace then, who of course play Manchester United on Saturday, the game we were just talking about. Alan Pardew's had a lot of plaudits since he's gone to Crystal Palace, and he seems to be a real good fit for Crystal Palace. He's a club legend, and he's done a great job there for Crystal Palace, hasn't he?
Absolutely. I think the executive of the year should be named as Steve Parish, because he was the one that saw the way that Crystal Palace was going, and of course he brought in Alan Pardew. Since he brought in Alan Pardew, Newcastle have gone right down the toilet, and Crystal Palace have gone the other direction. So that can only be down to the manager, and the person that brought in there, Steve Parish, is one of these young, dynamic new chairmen, deserves a lot of credit for that. Having said that, can Crystal Palace beat Manchester United in this one particular game? I think it was all done a few weeks ago when Crystal Palace got out of trouble. After they had, I think it was a run of 6 games where they had five wins in 6 games. Since then, it's been beach towels in Benidorm, as I call it, Crystal Palace. So I don't expect Crystal Palace to come out flying, although when you play United, the manager's always going to want to do well. But as I say, I think Palace 1, Manchester United 2 would be my prediction.
Okay, thank you, Rodney, for your thoughts on Saturday's games. We'll look forward to getting your views on a couple of big games on Sunday.